I'm going to show you how to recreate that, and I'm going to show you the demo, the end result, in just a moment here. Yeah. And as always, today's webinar, every webinar, we have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions by the end of the webinar, anytime throughout the webinar, please store your questions into the Q&A panel in Zoom there, and I'll answer those questions after the live demo. Just be aware that although we are live streaming this on YouTube, I'm not going to be answering questions from the YouTube comments, so apologies for that. We are recording this as well, obviously. So if you miss anything, you go for coffee or whatever, don't worry about it. You can watch the recording later on. We're going to email it to you after today's webinar. And with that email, we're also going to give you a survey. So if you have any feedback for the webinar, any topics you'd like to see in the future, please fill out that survey and you get a 10% discount code for the content store, and that's stackable with other coupons as well. On that note, discounts in the content store. On the screen right now, I'm in the content store, and we have a really cool promotion going on right now that basically goes until the end of the month. So ends on Halloween, I guess. If you buy a certain amount of content here, you can see the big three offers on the screen right here. If you spend a little bit of money on the content, you can get some of the software free. You can see if you spend $5.99 on content, you get all the big three software items free. So if you don't have any of the software right now, highly recommend. I mean, just pick up content. It's like basically you're getting content at the same time, and then you're getting the software free. So a really good promotion to check out in the content store. And again, this goes until, I guess it's for another 7 days here, so another week, ends next Tuesday. So make sure you check that out before the offer expires. All right, and for those of you who use ZBrush, we have released face tools. This is a really cool, basically a tool that really enhances your workflow. And we're going to have tutorials on this in the near future here. I think we have the getting started tutorial already released, so you can check that out on our YouTube channel. But a really cool tool that it really makes your workflow more efficient for those of you who go back and forth with ZBrush. It just kind of sets up everything for you, so there's a number of different settings that are all taken care of. And yes, we do have the one tutorial that's released, and I think we're doing another one. That one's set to be released later this week. So keep your eyes open for that in our YouTube channel. And yeah, coolio. For those of you who are ZBrush users, this is a really cool really cool relief for a lot of the workflows, a lot of the stuff that was frustrating people earlier. And as well, for those of you who are in education, if you're a student or a teacher, make sure you check out our Global Training Center. I'm going to throw this link in the chat window just for you guys, just so you have it. And where's my chat window here? Oh, it's over here on the other screen. Okay, I'm going to throw that in for you. Cool. Yeah, see everyone's hey, everyone, coming from Germany, Ohio, Australia. Thanks, everyone, for being with us today. I'm here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, where it actually just snowed yesterday. We've got a big dump of snow, so winter is coming. Anyways, that's enough about me. There's the Global Training Center link. If you are a student or a teacher, you get a 60% discount for any of the software, rather. So you can see down here, individual license, 60% off. And there's also multi-license. And if you're an educator, you can apply for a free semester license as well. So make sure you check out this site if you're involved in any sort of educational institution or whatever. Make sure you check it out. All right. I think that's enough for all the promotional stuff. I want to get into the live demo really quickly here because we got a lot of stuff to cover. Big fight scene. I know that people have been asking for fight scenes for quite a while, and I finally kind of pushed them to do a fight scene. Now, this fight scene, it may be disappointing to some people. It's not really much of an interactive fight scene. It's actually more of a shooting at each other fight scene. But we will have another scenario after the fight scene where there's going to be a couple dancing, and that's an interactive scenario. So we'll have fun with that. And I'll also, if I have time, I'll also throw in some physics stuff. Before we get into this, I also wanted to mention a lot of this stuff. If you want to get more specific scenarios regarding a lot of the techniques that I'm going to be using here, go to the Real-Illusion courses page. And if you go to the iClone section over here, mocap animation training right here. So there's a lot of tutorials here that are done by myself and also from Tristan Ross from UK. He did a lot of good work on all of these tutorials for different scenarios. You can kind of review these, and I may refer you to some of these tutorials during the webinar, just because they go into like a lot more detail and specific things, and we're kind of on a time restriction here for the live demo, but there's a lot of stuff here, a lot of information you can see. There's like, I don't know, something like 30 tutorials, maybe even more than that. I haven't actually counted them, but yeah, check these out for all sorts of different scenarios. Cool. I think that's about it for the introduction. Like I said, I want to get started on the live demo here so we can get to more questions and answers at the end. Like I mentioned, we're going to have the Q&A session at the end. So any questions and answers, put them in the Q&A. All right, cool. Let's get started here. So I know I didn't do much in terms of visuals for this scenario here. It's just two motion dummies on like a dummy wall and a dummy stairs. But I'm going to go to a view over here, and this is what we're going to recreate within the next. We're going to try this for 40 minutes, 30, 40 minutes here. So I'm just going to play back. See a person going down the stairs, flipping over, and standing there. A guy from the back there. A lot going on here, so I don't think I really need to narrate it, but you can maybe hear that little the little gun firing sound there. I'm not sure if you guys could hear that, but we're going to be using a gun prop from a content pack that I'm going to show you a little bit later. In fact, there are motions in this webinar, in this demo here, that come from content packs, and I'm going to show you those content packs later on. So again, some of these motions are not embedded with iClone. They're not default motions, but again, you know, pick them up. You can get the free software, like the content store offer, like I mentioned before. Yeah, that's up to you. And cool, we got a lot of stuff to go through, so let's get started here. I'm going to actually start this like directly from scratch. So we only have three basically props on the screen. We have this little box here, we have a wall, we have some stairs that I created, and I'll show you how to basically create this from complete scratch. Okay, you can see here is a little gun that our character picks up. Okay, so it picks up the gun, and we're going to talk about how to do that. That's the first thing we're going to talk about, actually. So let's get started from a blank slate. I'm going to start a new project here, and let's throw in our characters. So those two motion dummies can be found under actor, character, and under the motion dummy folder, you'll find a female one and a male one. All right, not much textures to load there. We'll just throw them both in here, side by side there. All right, they're ready to go. And we have a couple more things I want to add in here. First, I just want to add this wall first. So I'm going to go over to props and search field. I'm just going to search for wall. And I believe it's at the very bottom here, the wall that I used in this scenario here. Yeah, brick wall. So I'll just throw this in here. And we're going to add the gun a little bit later. So yeah, let's get started with our scenario here. So I believe we had the female character running down the stairs. It doesn't matter, they're basically the same, just a little bit of shape difference in the body, as you could probably guess. But we're going to have this male character come up behind the wall. He's going to use a couple of motions from a couple of content packs, and I'll show you those in a moment. So yeah, let's get started. Enough of me blabbing along, and I'll just kind of go ahead and do it. So let's go to animation up here, and under animation, I'm just going to search for this motion here. What is it called again? I think it's called crouch 2 against wall. Okay, so let's search for it, crouch. Okay, so you can see there's a number of different crouch animations here. These are from content packs, and the one I'm going to be using is this crouch 2 against wall. Now if you right click on it and go to content info, you can find all the information here. It's from a pack called Assassin Moves. This is a content pack that was released, I think, last year. This is a pretty good one. I'd recommend checking it out. Tons of cool stuff. And this goes really well with the parkour animation pack that I'm going to be talking about a little bit later on. So yeah, you can just check this out, Assassin Moves, in the content store. But I'm just going to go ahead and apply that motion. So crouch 2 against wall, because we have a wall here. Let's just apply that and play back. So it's going to look like this. Obviously, we don't want him to go through the wall or the other character, but that's where he's going to end up. Okay, now the cool thing about these motions here, these are called root motions. If you look at this little gizmo at the character's root there, the red, green, and blue arrows, that's called your root. Okay, so root motion is when the root kind of follows along with the character. You can see here it follows along with them. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Some motions, the root will just remain stationary in one spot. Generally, you want to have the root go along with your character. There's some scenarios where you don't, but we can talk about that later. You can always ask questions later as well if you want. So the cool thing about this is, like, basically you can go to the end of your animation. So where he ends up, like here. Okay, good enough. And then I can position him wherever I want at the end of the animation. So I can just click and drag, and we'll move him over here behind the wall. All right, maybe he needs to look a little bit beyond the wall there. Want him to be too close to the wall. All right, good enough. Okay, now if I play back, it's going to be like a weird kind of situation where he's floating and, you know, he's going to do this. Okay, so all you need to do to correct that is I'm going to press F3 to go into the timeline. And you can see here we have this in our transform track, we have the keyframe. And I'm going to move that transform keyframe to the beginning. Okay, and that's going to basically place our character where we want it to be from the very beginning of the project. So now if we play back, cool. He ends up right behind the wall where we want him to be. All right, coolio. That's a very simple technique, very easy to do. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have him pick up the gun. So we're going to talk about the edit motion layer tool first. And we're going to use this to pick up the character's gun. And we're going to link the gun to the hand and all kinds of fun stuff. So let's search for our gun. Close down the timeline for now. Go back to props, and the gun is called, I think it's called Walther 99, but I just searched for 99. Yeah, there we go. And this is from a content pack called Secret Agent Costumes and Gears. This is from one of our developers, Adolf Antarius. It's a really cool pack, tons of cool police secret agent type stuff, props, and all kinds of stuff. I really recommend checking it out. This is a really good one. You can find this again in the content store. And again, I won't go too much into detail on that, but that's where you can find it. Okay, cool. So we have that. Let's just throw that into our scene somewhere around here. And you can see it's very small, so we'll have to zoom in. And I'm going to place it kind of where my character can pick it up easily. So we want it to kind of be like right here where he's taking a step forward with his left foot. Let's keep it around over here. And I'm just going to rotate it so it's in the perfect position for him to pick up here. This way, there we go. And again, press W and move it over here. I want it to kind of just be at a very perfect 90-degree angle. So you can go to your modify panel and just type in the actual numbers here, negative 90 or 90. There you go. And I think, I'm not sure why I had it one. So it's good. It's all ready to pick up there. And if we press A or S or D or F, you can see, you get the different views here of the gun. So you can see right here, it's kind of in the middle of the ground plane. That gray line there is the ground plane. So we can just bring it up by like maybe, I think it was 3 or something, or 2 units. There we go. So it's just basically sitting on the ground plane there. And then we're ready to have it picked up by the character. Oh, actually, we want it to be on the other, rotate this direction here. So negative 90 on the X. All right, and maybe move it a little bit further over here, just so it's kind of convenient for him to pick up, but not too far away. All right, something like that. Okay, and now, you can go in and move the transform keyframe, this one back to the beginning, or you can simply just right click on your gun and select remove object animation, and it'll remain there for the duration of the project. All right, that's kind of a quick shortcut. Okay, so we're going to get now into the next part, which is the edit motion layer tool. And this is where we have the character pick up the gun. So the edit motion layer tool is really good. We're also going to use animation layer tool. They go in combination with each other. So what we want to do is we want to have him reach down with his right hand and pick up that gun. Okay, so let's move it maybe a little bit forward there. Again. There we go. Okay, so where we want him to start picking up his gun is maybe right before he's about to take his left step there with his left foot. What we can do is just open up make sure we have the character selected and open up our motion track. And we can just go ahead in move my face out of the way here. We have the animation layer tool open. Now, I believe this is like what, F11? Yeah, F11 is the animation layer tool. That's the hotkey for the motion animation layer tool. And what I like to do in the animation layer tool is I like to make my modifications in layers. That's what it's kind of used for, because you can go back and you can erase certain layers and you can adjust the weight of certain layers as well. And I can answer more questions about this later, but I'm just going to create a new layer here. I'm going to call this gun pickup, okay? For lack of a better word. So we want to probably start it right here. Notice that if we go to our base layer, the motion layer tracks all go green. If we go to this gun pickup layer, it goes like a darker green. I think this color is randomly assigned, but you can always change it as well. If you want, you can see it adjust there. Maybe something like red will be fine, whatever, maroon. Okay, so we want to start our edit here. Okay, so I can just go ahead and double click in the motion layer track down here. And that brings up our edit motion layer tool. It's a really fast way to get it up there. Get this out of the way. So there we have our edit motion layer keyframe. If we twirl down, it adds an absolute key. So basically a keyframe on all the different body parts. And right here, this is where we want to kind of reach down and grab that gun. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to just edit a couple of things here. The first thing I'm going to do is maybe move my character's hips to the side. Just a little bit like this, like this. We're going to use the E hotkey to rotate it downwards a little bit. Okay. And select all the different body parts. I like to just get rid of the bones and the little markers there, just so you can kind of see it better. And you can kind of move the chest down a little bit as well. This is the part where we kind of want to go from the hip up, okay? Because this is where you get most of your movement. We move the head a little bit, so he's kind of looking at the gun there. All right, so I think we're okay there. We can maybe move the hip down a little bit. We don't want it to be too far down, otherwise his knee will kind of go through the ground plane. But now what we can do is we can take the shoulder. Again, moving from the hip is normally the way I start it, and then I tweak it later on. So you can move the shoulder like this, or if you have IK mode selected, you can just take the hand directly and move the hand down. And the hand will kind of move everything along with it. You can see it just like that. Okay, that's cool. Our knee is still above the ground plane, so we're okay on that in that regard. Okay, and then I'm going to rotate the hand just like this. All right. Let's just move that gun back, actually. So now we have this. So we have him kind of moving along, and his hands kind of scraping the ground like that. All right, that's fine. Let's go back to this frame right here. And like I just mentioned, for ease, I'm going to make this gun a little bit further back, so we don't have to modify a bunch of stuff later on. Whatever. Click and drag this. Okay. Zoop. All right. Back to our character. Back to the gun pickup layer, and back to this frame here. Okay, so now we have him kind of scraping along the ground with his hand there. We can maybe even put it a little bit further down. Let's go to animation. Get right slightly further down. All right, there we go. Okay, cool. And of course, we need to have it right here. There we go. Okay, cool. So that's good enough for me. That's a good starting point for our hand. And the next few frames after this one are going to be, I'm going to have the gun kind of slide. I'm going to do a manual transform position for the gun and slide it into the hand, okay? And then we'll do the grip later on. So let's do this like this. this frame here. Okay, so maybe about 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 or 6 frames later, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select my gun. Let's actually take our wrist a little bit forward too as well. Okay. And then I'm going to focus on the gun now. So at this frame, you can see we have the gun probably going to start moving about here. So we can just double click on the transform track, and that adds a keyframe right there. Move it over here. And then from here to here, about here, I'm going to manually just adjust the gun position using a transform. So I'm going to press the E hotkey for rotate like this, W for move, and move it up about here. Okay. And let's make sure it's kind of, okay, it's good on that side too. So we have this. Now it looks like this. Okay, so it looks pretty good. It goes kind of slides naturally into the hand. And what we need to do as well is, oh, I forgot, I need to make our edit motion layer, take it back to normal. Okay, so after he picks up the gun. So we have here, we can just slide along like this. And after he finishes picking up the gun, sorry to go back and forth here, but so about here, what I want to do is go into my edit motion layer tool and make sure we're in full body mode right here, and then press reset. And that's going to reset it back to the original default data in this motion clip right here. Okay, so now we have this. And we probably want to keep this. So this is kind of why I have the hand and the rest of the body on different layers. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just delete this keyframe that I modified for the hand. Okay, remember this one is I rotated the hand slightly. If I delete this one, the hand will kind of go, whoop, nope, we deleted the whole character. We had the character selected, not in the, there we go. So this keyframe here, this is the hand. So I'm going to delete that keyframe, and you can see the hand will just go back there. And then I'm going to create another layer. And this one is going to called hand grasp. Okay. And at that same frame, I'm just going to go to, again, the edit motion layer tool and move that hand forward. So it's just good to have this on a separate layer. And I'll show you a little bit later why. So we have it like this. Okay, at this frame, we're okay. And then we want to go back to the gun pickup layer now. And this is the keyframe where we put everything back to normal, but we want the gun pickup to last a little bit longer. So let's go here and copy this keyframe, right click and copy, and probably have it just drag along for a little bit longer and just paste it there. Just Control V, just paste, okay? So just drag along for a little bit longer. And maybe at about this frame here, this is where I want the hand to be. I'm going to go to the hand grasp layer now. You can see when I do this, obviously the motion layer keys will change. So this one here is the gun pickup. This is the body. This is the hand grasp. So this one, I'm going to rotate it a little bit further up. Okay. And now we'll just kind of keep it as is, actually. We'll have it clasp about here. So this is where we want the hand to clasp. And we'll do that after we link the gun though, okay? So we'll have it like this. And maybe about here is where we want to link the gun. So maybe about here, actually. And we'll have the hand a little bit forward like this. And I'm going to manually move that gun again here. And if the gun positioning is not right, then we can always adjust it, adjust the frame. Again, I'm not going to go into make this perfect, but there you can see there. So it kind of goes a little bit fast. And if you find that the transform movement goes a little bit too fast from here to here, you can see it kind of pops up a little bit first. You can also go into the transform keys here, and you can use the curve editor or transition keys. So on this one, I'm going to right click and use the curve editor. We'll just open that up. And really all we need to do is, I think the rotation on the x-axis here, or y and z. You can see the y rotation is really the one that we need to focus on. Maybe the position change for the Y as well. If we press F. Okay, this is the one we want to focus on right here. So the movement from left to right of the gun. So you can see here, it goes a little bit too fast. So let's move this a little bit forward like this. Maybe something like this. You can see the positioning, how the positioning changes when I move this keyframe here. All right, so maybe like that. It slides in nicely. Here, it's still going a little bit too fast. So I'm going to change that. Okay. So really what you want to do here is you want to get the, oops, should have gone the other way rather, sorry. You want to get the positioning to be fairly as accurate as possible here. Again, this is going to go so fast that we're not going to worry too much about, we don't have to worry too much about it in the end. So again, this is just kind of nitpicking. It gets there way too fast, you can see here. So here, let's move that further back. Okay. All right, I'm going to just work with that. And then at this point here is where I'm going to link the gun. Okay. So let's go ahead and now select the gun, and we're going to use link, and we're just going to link it to the hand. And again, make sure you have it linked to the hand. So go into your modify panel down here and link. Okay. Pick parent is the hand. Okay. You don't want to have like a twist bone link or anything like that, because that'll kind of just mess things up. So let's go ahead and close that down now. So now what we have here is we have the gun linked to the hand. All right. And of course, after it's linked, we can modify the position of the gun as well. So maybe over here, but let's do the hand and the hand grip first. Okay. So with the character selected now, edit motion layer tool, I'm going to use my hand grasp. Okay. This layer right here. So from here to here, we want to just like slowly grasp the gun. All right. And we may need to reposition the gun slightly. Let's do the repositioning first. Okay, so this is kind of going a little bit back and forth, but you want to get the positioning correct for everything first here. Rotate the gun. And again, this is after it's linked, but don't worry about that. Let's just try and get it into a good initial position. We can just kind of close the hand on the palm there. All right, and this is in the transform track. So I'll go like this. And this is where we want to have our hand clasp the gun. All right, we're gonna just work with that. Again, not perfection, but we'll work with it. So then at the same frame here, edit motion layer tool, we can take the right hand and kind of just close it on the gun like this. And it looks like the fingers are doing okay. All right, we can take this finger, move it down a little bit. This one here. Again, I don't want to get into too much details here, but this is kind of the workflow that you want to go through. Those are okay. Our index finger is kind of around the trigger area there. And our thumb, we can rotate that to, I'm not sure the correct grip, what the correct grip would be here, but something like this maybe. All right, we'll work with that. Okay, cool. So now we have the correct grip on the gun. And now the good thing is this, like this layer here, it's on the okay. We're in the hand grasp layer here. Did we grasp the hand? Should be at this frame here that it's grasping it. Okay, yeah, it just doesn't look grasped enough. Close it a bit more there. Okay. And I'll take that thumb further back. All right, good enough. All right, so now we can see from this frame to this frame, he picks it up and grasping it. Okay, there we go. So we're pretty much all set at this point here. We have the gun in the hand and everything's good to go. So you don't have to worry about anything from this point on. And we'll need to go through the next little bit of it really fast here. So he kind of, whoops, goes behind the wall here. Okay, cool. So we have all that taken care of. All right. So that's the first part of the motion here, or the scenario, all taken care of. Now, what we want to do after that is we want to use a little tool called Pose Mixer, and this is a tool that's part of the Edit Motion Layer tool. And for that, I'm going to need the help of my female character over here. So we're going to give her just temporarily a specific motion. Let's do that by going to the content, and we'll go to animations here. And we will use, I believe it's called Hold Gun Idle. Okay, so we'll search for Hold Gun. All right, so close the timeline for now. Hold Gun Idle. All right, this one right here. Cool. It doesn't really matter what frame we're at. You can see there, she's at the Hold Gun Idle pose right there. And what I want to do is I just want to take the upper part of this motion and transfer it to the upper body of this character. So that's what the pose mixer is really good for. If I press F3 and go to the timeline here, you can see we have that Hold Gun Idle. It doesn't matter, we're going to delete it later, but what I want to do is go to the Edit Motion Layer tool. I want to make sure I have the arms selected only. We'll go to Pose Mixer first up here. Only the arms selected, so you can click this little button here, arms. So only the arms are green. And we just want to go ahead and select Copy Pose. Okay. And then I'm going to go to my character over here. We'll have to close that down first. And Edit Motion Layer tool. And anywhere we want, we can have that character probably about here. Maybe we want to start lifting up the gun right here into his gun pose or whatever. So right here, I'm going to add another layer. And again, it's really good to do this in layers. You can flatten all these layers later. I'll show you that later, but add another layer. This one's going to be called gun pose. And this gives us a fresh set of motion layer keys. So here, I'm just going to make sure we're in full body mode here and set key. And then we're going to go about here and we'll go ahead and pose mixer. Again, only selecting the arms. And then we're going to paste pose. Okay. So we only have the arm selected, so we got something like this. Now he kind of just goes like this into the arm pose, and we're good to go. All right. So if I play back, that's way too fast. So we can again move it like further back like this. Okay, cool. He kind of just gets into the position right there, and we're pretty much good to go from there. Now, there's a little bit of additional editing that needs to be done because we have the hand going through the knee. So again, at this frame right here, again, what I often like to do is set an additional layer like this. And this will be, we'll call it mesh or collision fix. Okay. And this is because his left hand, if you pay attention to it, is going through his knee, getting into that pose. Okay, so what we want to do is maybe about here. Let's go into like a mode, whatever, it doesn't matter. We'll set a full body key here. And right about here, we want the hand to be further up. And we can just quickly do it like this. Let's move it up like this. You can press W to go from the local to the world axis, by the way. So now we have like this. Okay, so now it avoids going through the knee. From here, I think we can just go ahead and press reset on that layer. Okay, cool. I think we avoided the knee now. A little bit through the knee. Let's just take it up a little further. Like that. Okay, and then we should not go through the knee. Oh, it still goes through the knee. We have it a little bit further away this way. Oh man. Let's take that other keyframe a bit further down. Okay, now we're good. So now if we go through it, his arm no longer goes to the knee, and he's good to go. And we need to as well set the correct position for his hand here. So let's do that. Here we have a full body key, and then this right here. Again, this is from one of the other layers, but generally what I would do is I would go through this and manually bake all these layers. We'll just kind of put it over there so that looks okay. All right, good enough for me. Okay, so now we have him all good to go. Okay, cool. So that's the pose mixer. Now what we want to do is we want to basically, I mean, if we're satisfied with this, this is the workflow that I'd recommend. If we're satisfied with this, I'll just play it back. If we're satisfied with everything the way it's going right now, picks up the gun nice and smooth and is ready to go. What I would do normally is I would save the project right now, and then I would probably just flatten all these layers. That's kind of my workflow, to be honest. I like to have all these different layers because you can see what it's like if you take away this layer. Okay, that's the gun pose. The hand grasp. If we take away the hand grasp layer, it would be like that. The gun pickup layer, that's not, we don't worry about that because that one's already previously removed. So you can kind of see what it's like with all of these different layers, how it looks. And in addition to having these layers, you can also use the weight parameter down here. If you think that you need to tweak it a little bit, tweak the entire layer. Just keep in mind this tweaks the weight of all the keyframes in that layer. For example, the collision fix one, you take the weight down, you can see that hand movement slowly goes back to the position. So this is a really useful tool, I find, just to use the animation layer tool in combination with the edit motion layer tool. And then if you're set, let's say I'm satisfied with this, again, don't do this until you're totally sure, but you can right click it and select flatten motion clip. Now you can keep all the keys, but I just tend to flatten everything like this. And you can see, boom. Now we have one flat clip down here. There's no keyframes in it. And we only have the base layer right here in the animation layer tool. And the reason to do this is if you want to like break up your clip and blend it with other stuff, and I'll talk more about that in just a moment here. But we have limited time here. So let's go ahead and go to our next motion. Now, the next one's kind of cool. This is one that I get asked really often about how to kind of like rotate your character, how to turn your character. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do that in this webinar. So after he's like, getting ready to, shoot or whatever, what we want to do now is we have another motion called swap to pistol. And this is, again, same part of that same motion pack. So if we go to content and I just type in swap to pistol. Okay, so this motion, it's meant for a character who normally has a machine gun and switches like to a handgun, like in Call of Duty or something like that. You're switching weapons. So we'll just switch to that. You can see it right here in the timeline. It doesn't matter where it is right now. We're just going to go ahead and break this clip though. So right now is where he's holding the machine gun. We don't want that. We want the handgun. Okay, so you can see the handgun conveniently comes into that position right there. So we want to start from about right here where our character is just about to bring out his handgun. Okay, I'm going to click on that clip there, and you can break this clip. You can go over here and you can select break the clip. Or what I normally do is I just use Control B to break the clip. I mean, you can right click it and select break up here. Or you can just press Control B, but just for your reference there. Okay, so now very important here is to recognize, and this is very important throughout today's webinar, recognize which foot your character is, which is your character's root foot, which foot does it have the weight on, okay? Since we want our character to spin around on his left foot and kind of face the other character, it'll be like this. So right now we just have it popping like this. So it just goes from here to pop. Okay, pop. Okay, that's not good. Obviously, we wouldn't want that unless we were cutting a frame away and we just wanted to, kind of a cheating way to have him come up like that. But what I'm going to do in this case here is we're going to take this entire clip and we're going to right click it, and I'm going to align the whole clip. Now, I'll show you a situation later where you don't want to align whole clip. You want to use align instead. but we can align this whole clip because he's just stationary, he just stands right in one spot. So we can align the whole clip to the character's left foot. And what that'll do is that'll align it to the position of the left foot on the previous clip, which is right here. So now he still pops, but his foot is, the heel is still planted. So it's important to remember which foot your character is planted on, okay? Because that's going to be the foot that you want to align to. If your character is pivoting on his left foot, then you want to align to the left foot. If he's pivoting on his right foot, you want to align to the right foot. Okay, so to avoid this popping, very easy. Blending clips is one of the most common things you'll do with iClone. So click and drag this clip over here, make a little bit of a blending area like this, and you can see he'll pivot on his left foot. Okay, just like this. I mean, if you want, you can move his right foot so it's not sliding, but this is kind of a realistic motion. If you're kind of like pivoting around like this, that's pretty realistic. You can have the character's right foot take a step, but sliding like this is just as realistic. And it's easy to make that step. You just use the edit motion layer tool. So again, we have this. Okay, pretty cool. Just pops up like this, getting ready to shoot. Now, you may think, oh, that transition's a little bit too smooth. It's a little bit too, linear or whatever. If you find that the transition between your two clips is too linear or too smooth or something, you can right click on it and you can go over to where are we here? Transition curve right there. Okay. And you can see it, you get a couple options here. You got the ease in, ease out, linear, and ease in and ease out. And when you click on one of these like this, if I click on ease out, I can adjust the strength to make it stronger. So this is just adjusting the curve. And again, this is fairly primitive in terms of transition curves, but it's just for your transition. If you click on it, you can see, boom, we get like that. So now it kind of just, he jumps up a bit faster. However, if we use something like ease in, he'll kind of go like, whoop, like that. I'm not sure if you can see it too well over Zoom. Maybe there's a bit of a lag or something, but if you just click on ease in, like, whoop, you can see he'll pop up like that. Ease out is more like he jumps up right away. And then there's also ease in and ease out. In this case, you can adjust this strength to a little bit lower and test that out. It looks a bit smoother. Okay. I like the ease out one because he pops up a bit faster. His body pops up a bit faster with this one. So I'll get a bit more strength on that one. Okay. Just adds a little bit more realistic movement to the transition. And this is very useful when you're transitioning between clips. So if we play it back, now we have this. Okay, cool. I think that looks pretty good. So after we have that, we got the transition curve. Let's just do a quick gun shoot motion here. So pops up like this, getting ready to shoot. And to shoot the gun, this gun actually comes loaded with some scripts. So you can right click on it and go to script. And you can choose shoot with silencer or shoot. For the ears of everyone here watching, I'm going to choose shoot with silencer. Okay, boom. You can see it's kind of like a little, almost like an air gun kind of sound. Pop. Okay, and that's part of the gun. You can see animation right here. Whoops, where did I go? Oh, it's in the scripts actually, but yeah, you'll see it in sound and stuff like that. But that's not, we're gonna not worry about that right now. So let's worry now about the next step here is we're going to have the character, paintball fight. We'll have the character running down the stairs here and doing a little flip off the stairs. So the next part I'm going to go through in the next 15 minutes here. And I'm going to go over time here just so you're aware in advance here, because we have a couple more things to go through. They're really easy, but they may take some time, the physics and the characters dancing. So, but these ones are important, having our character run down the stairs. Let's go ahead and select the top of this wall right here. Make sure we have it the top selected. All right, so we're going to create, actually, we're going to apply that motion to our character first, our female character. And the motion we're going to apply to her is called run up, down, whatever. I think if I just search up, down, it'll appear here. Up, down, run downstairs. Okay, cool. If you right click on that, go to content info, you can see it's part of the Run for Your Life content pack. All right, and these are some of the motions from this content pack that were used in our other tutorials. So you can check that out, Run for Your Life. It's pretty fun. You can see that guy's pretty scared. There's a variety of ones. It's on a discount right now. Check it out. Anyways, we'll apply that one. Run down. Cool. Where did he go or she go? She's way over here. Okay, no worries. Press the W hotkey. You can see the root is down there. We don't have to worry about that for now. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool enough. That's the character running down. Now we're going to reposition this so that the character ends up at the top of our last step right here on top of the wall. And then we're going to create some steps really quickly. All right. Cool. Now this is kind of annoying because the character's root is way over there, but we'll just position it right here for now. Good enough. And I'm going to now just create those steps. So let's select the top here. And the easiest way to create steps, I'm going to press the A hotkey to zoom onto the side there. Hold the control key and click and drag. There we go. There's one step. I'm going to just make this step a little bit longer using the R hotkey to maybe something like that. Will be fine. Okay, and just move it over a bit like that. Oh, and we don't want to do this at frame 170. So let's right click, remove object animation. Let's go to the very top. Okay, so we're going to build our wall up to the character's first step. Okay, so again, control, click and drag right there. It's not going to be pretty, but it's going to work. All right. And there's a lot of variables here that may mess up the next part. But again, part of doing this webinar is kind of failing and showing how to fix things. So I don't have everything perfectly planned out to the specific numbers, but we're going to have some steps that are, where is she? Oh man, wait, okay, yeah. I forgot to take the transform keyframe for this character all the way back. All right, there we go. And she's still pretty high up there. I'll tell you what, let's move this a little bit further down. And then we're going to cut off the bottom part of the steps. I'm just going to make it easier. That's just the easiest way to do it. Again, it's not perfectly aligned, but okay, so we'll have it start there and then Why is it? It's weird. It didn't do this during the preparation here, but let's go ahead and just fix that. Bring it over here. All right, so we're just going to do a manual transform position change. It's kind of cheating, but there you go. All right, so there we have the character stepping down like this, just slightly adjusting the position. Okay, cool. Now, if we zoom in closer, again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this part. And again, she runs really fast, so if you're to the naked eye, it's not going to look like she's missing steps. But I'm going to show you. They look okay, to be honest, right now. And if unless you're focusing on the character's feet with the camera, it'll be fine. But what I'm going to do here is show you using motion correction how you can make sure that your feet are kind of stepping on the right stone, so to speak. All right, so with this clip selected, we just can right click it and we can select motion correction. Okay, so this is where you correct, foot sliding and all sorts of stuff. We can talk about foot sliding and fix that kind of stuff a little bit later. Yeah, when you have a character running down a set of stairs really quickly like this, what you want to do is you want to use one of the presets called fast standing. Okay, so this is a character that the foot movement is going really fast. And the difference between fast standing and normal standing, you can see it'll create reach targets. This one's for the feet and toes, and the fast one is only for the toes. So generally, if you're have a fast run or a fast walk, you're not really spending the time to go heel toe. That's like speed walking. If you're running like a sprinter or you're going fast downstairs, you're kind of almost just hitting your toes and launching off of your toes. you're not, using your heels too much, or very minimally anyways. So if you notice there's some sliding, or, you want to target the feet position, an easy way to do this is just to go ahead and to the motion correction, use fast standing in this case. You can see left toe and right toe are selected. The threshold, a high threshold, gives you generally it gives you more reach targets. Again, this can be kind of random, but generally the threshold will give you, a higher threshold will give you more reach targets. So for example, if we go on to 3 or 2 and we just click on correct, you can see here that you can see those green things there. Those are the toe reach targets. Okay. I'm just going to make my, this stuff invisible. Oops. Just so you can see them better. Okay. You can see there's only 2. All right. So with the threshold at 4, we only created those 2 targets, or I guess there's a couple more up there, but there you go. Okay. Now, if we did the same thing and we go to, say, a threshold of 12, for example, correct? Yeah, it'll remove all the reach keys already there. So let's go ahead and press OK. You can see we get some blue ones. We get some more ones. All right. So again, the higher threshold, maybe 18 or something, or 17, you'll just replace that. Whatever. Again, it's you can see them all selected right here in the motion dummy track. And those are down in the reach track as well. Okay, so those are the keyframes there. Now, what this does is it gives us reach dummies for our steps. So let's make sure those stair sections are visible again. And let's just kind of go through a couple steps here. Again, this process is kind of repetitive, so I might not just do the whole thing, but because just for time's sake here, I'm going to go frame by frame. That looks okay. Landing right there. That looks okay. Oops. That looks not good. You can see it's too far off the step there. So this is probably, there's a reach target right here that we want to adjust. All right. We'll just make this step invisible so we can see it. I believe there's a reach target there. Maybe there is not. Didn't create a reach target. In the case where there's not a reach target, what you can do is you can just manually adjust it using your motion layer tool. Okay. So in this case, I didn't expect this. Again, it's quite random. But what I'm going to do here is we're going to use the motion layer track, have our character selected. We're going to do away with the reach tracks for now. Open up motion. And here we're going to just double click on the motion layer track. Bring up our right there. Now, for here, you don't really need to key the whole body. You can just go over here and select body part mode. Or you can key the whole body. It doesn't matter. If you want your upper body to be separate, you go to body part mode. But this doesn't really matter. I'm going to set a key here. And we're going to go to where he's supposed to step. And we're going to take that right foot. And we're going to move it forward. And we're going to move it down. Like this. Okay, fine and dandy right there. So now our step is, that step is okay. And we want it to remain there until that one, basically we want it to remain here, the toe down until it's ready to launch. So there we go. And then this is the one we need to adjust over here. So this reach target on the left foot, you can see we have the reach target here. We can just go to the edit motion layer tool first. Okay, so select that manually, and we're going to bring it over here, right here, further up, and bring it further down. Okay, so we have it over here. And again, this will also require, in addition to the reach target, it will require some manual editing. So these reach targets, they work in combination with the edit motion layer tool. So again, different scenarios will require different solutions. So this one, selected, character selected, let's edit motion layer tool. Let's bring the left foot down. Okay, so now it's able to get closer to the reach target. There you go. Okay. Now you can see it pops up right there. So we need to use a combination of techniques here. We need to go down to the reach targets under the motion dummy. And we need to adjust the timing of that reach target. So this one is specifically for the left toe. Okay, so we probably want it to start like right there. You can see it only starts right here. So let's take that and move it up further. So now the reach target, and now it will stop hopping around so much. So you can see now it stays there. And here is released. We don't want it to be released just yet. We probably want to keep it a little bit longer on there. Whoops. So let's just select this part, this key right here. There we go. And move this a little bit further. We want it to stay there for a little bit longer. And transition a little bit earlier, maybe. Okay, so we're just worried about the left foot, so don't worry about the right foot sliding around right there. Okay, and again, we'll do the same thing with the right reach target there. That's the green one. Okay, so the green for the right foot, you can see obviously it's in the wrong place, but basically you just repeat this process. You bring the reach target to where you want the foot to be placed. Okay, so we want to go over here. Obviously, that's not where we want the right foot to land. So let's make that target down here. And, oh, that's the wrong one. So, over here, I think this is another one from somewhere else, but you can see how this can get a little bit time consuming, but it's the easiest way to just kind of ensure that your targets are correct. Okay, so there it lands on the right step right there. Maybe we bring this a little bit further up and further down like that. And then we have this landing like that and like that. Okay, good enough. Again, I should have just this is probably the worst example that I've had in all the times I tested this out, but there we go. We'll just kind of put that there. Again, step. I'm not sure what that green one was meant for, but we'll just try and get it to sort of relatively decent looking example here. Okay, here's an example, right, the right foot landing. This one here needs to be timed properly. And I don't want to spend too much time on this. It might have been this one. There we go. Okay, and all right, I'm just going to go ahead and end up with this left foot here. We're not going to worry too much. Again, I can fix this, but I don't want to spend too much time. We have other things to get to. And we're going to move this left foot using our edit motion layer tool to step right over here. Okay, cool. So that's going to be our launch point, the left foot right here. Make sure that it stays right here. Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and flatten this whole thing because I don't want anything to mess around with what I've done here. Okay. Because those reach targets and everything can interact with each other and it can cause a whole gong show of conflicting keyframes. So here we have it. Again, the last few keyframes are not going to be too bad, but are not going to be the best, but okay, good enough. Now, yeah, should have stuck with fighting. We're going to go about 15 minutes over, just so you're aware here. I'm going to have our character now jump off. So we're going to use a parkour jump. And this one is called side flip jump. But again, it's kind of useful to kind of just see the trial and error stuff as well, just because you can kind of see when it's not planned, because not every situation is going to be perfect and different situations require different solutions. So this one, what was it called again? The parkour side flip jump. Drop side flip jump. Okay, so this one right here. So let's make sure we're at a further frame, and let's just call this drop side flip jump. Cool. All right. Now, this one is important because look at what happens with the character's positioning. It goes way back here. All right. So obviously, because the root, if you pay attention to the root, press the W key, it's right here. You don't want it to do that. Okay. You don't want it to pop over. But let's go to the point where he's jumping like this. We'll break the clip. I'm not going to explain too much about this, but again, what I want to do here is at the beginning of this one, I want to align the right foot. So align, and this one, we don't want to use align whole clip because our character is actually moving. We want to only align, and it's going to only align the beginning of the clip. Very important difference between align whole clip and align. Align will only align the beginning of the clip. So we're going to align this one to the left foot. Okay. And then we're in the right position. Okay. So ready to launch. Boom. Okay. And then our root kind of just goes back where it should be. Okay. So let's take this and blend it a little bit. Okay. Just like that. Again, it's not going to be beautiful, but I think we're okay. So let's play back. That's how easy it is. Like some motions just blend really nicely together, you know, like, whoa. Okay, cool. Maybe it's a little bit jumpy, but and again, one thing about blending clips as well is there's two, if you just click and drag the clip, you can see it'll create a transition area. And then there's this part on the bottom here. If you click and drag this gray, these little triangle knobs on the bottom there, that'll adjust the actual transition, not just the timing. So you can see in this case, a little bit kind of messes it up. So we don't want to have like that too much. Maybe something like this. Yeah, it's just about timing, really, getting these all timed out. Okay, cool. I think I'm just going to work with that. But then what we have next, after we have that, we have the character jumping, aligning the root. Now we want to adjust the landing position, obviously. Okay, I'm just going to show this is just annoying here. I think we need to blend it a bit further. Okay, we need to adjust the landing position. Now, to do that, we'll make sure we create a transform keyframe right here, which we have. And then at the landing position, we want to move that downwards, okay? Because he's landing right here, which is not where it's originally intended. We want to land right here, just like that. Okay, so now we have jumping off like this and landing in the right position. Okay, good enough. So after we have that, our character runs, and then we can have our character use a breathe idle animation. Okay, I'm just going to throw this in there really quick. Breathe. Like this. Okay, we can position that anywhere we want and blend it together. Again, we want to probably align this with the left foot again. And this one we can align the whole clip because it's not changing position. Just move a little bit forward so you can see the left foot planted. Let me zoom in on that first so you can see it. Again, left foot planted, and the right foot slides to get up to the left foot. Okay. Good. And we can probably blend that, a little bit longer and adjust the transition curve. Right, ease in and ease out. Okay, cool. So there we go. And then we have the idle. Now, what we're going to do next is basically this one is another parkour backflip. Okay. This is where the character jumps over. And this is the last part I'm going to do for this one, just because we're short on time here. Now, before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about the motion direction control. So I'm just going to go ahead and with motion direction control, you want to make sure it's just you have one single clip. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to, again, you would normally save before this. I'm going to merge all of these clips here, right click and select merge clips. Okay. And then these keyframes, after you merge the clips, don't worry about these keyframes on the motion layer track. It's kind of a buggy thing. You can just delete them. It doesn't affect anything. So there we go. Okay. All good to go. Now, after our character lands, takes off from her left foot, I'm going to break the clip at that point. So again, Control B. And we're going to use the motion control. So right click on this clip here and select motion direction control. All right. Now from the beginning of this clip, we can make her run a little bit further to the right. So right now she's kind of running a little bit forward like that. Takes about 3 steps forward. Instead of going forward, we could have her go to the right here. So she's inadvertently more in the line of fire of our character there that's turning around. Okay, so steps there. And notice there's a little bit of jerking there. So if there's a little bit of jerking, there's a couple things you can do. Generally, you can just kind of merge the clips like this. And that'll normally get rid of it. So left foot planted. So the jerking is gone. Okay, so land and then take off to the other end there. Okay, that's motion direction control. It's really simple, really easy. And those other tutorials by Tristan are really good for learning more about that. But I just want to throw that in there. Okay. And then I think, the rest of the stuff here is kind of a repeat of the stuff that we've already gone through. But I do want to get through a couple more scenarios here since I'm going to go about 10 more minutes here. The finishing part of this entire fight scenario here is pretty much the same techniques, but I do want to show you a couple different things. First one is having the couple dancing and using the reach targets to hold each other. And another one is throwing an object, throwing a weapon, or in this case, it's going to be a basketball. So I'm going to get to those. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to go back to this scenario here and work on it a little bit more. Let's go ahead and start a new project here. The first one I'm going to do is the characters with the reach targets, because this one's very common. This one I get asked a lot about, how do you use reach targets and stuff. Reach targets are really useful in a lot of situations. And I'll show you one situation right now where they're very useful. We're going to make our characters dance here. Dance, monkey dance. All right, so let's make sure we have the character selected here. Turn her around, get him into dance position here. Okay, good enough. Now, an easy way to make your characters dance is to use the motion puppet tool, which is kind of a fun way to do it. In modify, go to animation and motion puppet right here. I'm just going to have my male character use this dance idle right here. It's pretty basic. Okay, so this is kind of maybe like a junior high school dance where, our character is doing this. Let's have him go a little bit slower, maybe a little bit less exaggeration. Okay, you can adjust all these as well, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to record a few seconds of my character dancing because we have to have some movement for our characters here. I think about 500 frames should be okay. Cool, so we have that recorded. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to have my character, female character, put her hands on the male character's shoulders. So let's get that into position. Edit motion layer. I'll just use mirror right now in this edit motion layer tool for time's sake. We'll bring both hands. Like she's going to strangle him. Ah! Okay, I think the positioning is decent. Let's take off mirror and refine the positioning. I think this will be okay. Oops. Okay, we're just going to do that. I'm not going to worry about the fingers breaking through or anything like that. Left hand, how far is it away? There we go. Okay, we're going to work with that. Now, reach targets, really useful for if you have a character holding a bat or a weapon or something like that. Originally, I had a sword fight planned for this webinar, but it was mostly just reach target stuff. So a little bit more variety in this one. With the female character selected, go over to edit reach target. Now, very important here, select the left hand first. Select target and keep current pose. So that's very important because it'll keep the current pose that the character is in right now. It won't snap the hands to anything like that. So it'll just keep the current pose. So click that, and then we'll select the upper arm right there. That's fine. And do the same thing for the right hand. Select target and keep current pose, and select upper arm right there. So now what we have is our character will dance. You can see the human IK at work, really nice, moving along the rotation and everything, moving along with his shoulders. Okay, let's do the same thing for him. Let's have our character, our male character, hold the female character's waist. So let's do the edit reach target. Oh, let's make sure his hands are in position first. This is the best workflow, to make sure they're in position first, to be honest with you. Because otherwise you have to do a bunch of stuff with dummy targets and it's not fun. Let's move it out like that. Again, mirror can speed up the process, or it can kind of slow it down sometimes. All right. Maybe there's a little bit of hover hand there, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. Just make sure that it's relatively okay. Okay, good enough. And maybe we'll even bring the female's hips a little bit closer to the male character. Like that. All right. Julio, and then his hands a little bit further back. Okay, so then again, reach target and keep current pose. And for this, let's make sure we get around to the buttocks area here. Select the pelvis. That should be fine. I think the pelvis normally works. The hands of the character. So now we have this all set up. So you see now his hands will stay stationary. Now another thing we can do is we can use direct puppet for the female character to kind of move her hips around. So we select the female character. Direct puppet can be used. You can use the hips, and we'll rotate, use screen-based rotation here. Let's just, from the back maybe, will be a good fun one to do. So you can see we can move her hips like this, back and forth. Okay, move along with his movement. All right. Notice that his hands will move along with her like that. So we'll just record a few seconds of that. Again, this is just live mouse movement. This is kind of quick and dirty animation. But there you go. And then maybe we'll have her, you know, her upper body can rotate as well slightly. So just go back to frame 1 and then do a different rotation. This is like the neck. Okay, I'm just going to use her head. Maybe have her head rotate a little bit. And then we'll just move on. Okay, so she's just kind of moving along with him. All right, good enough. So that's kind of how you can just use reach targets and use both of those tools really quickly. And it's a fun and easy way to kind of create your own animations. We'll play it back one more time here. All right, I think we're good. And again, you can always edit stuff a little bit later on as well. But that's just a fun way of, you know, interacting, having two characters interact. One final thing that I'm going to do is physics. And for this one, we'll just bring in our female character in a basketball, and then we'll be done. And I'll answer any questions you guys have. So apologies again for going over time, but a lot of stuff to get through here. This one, we have a throw. Let's go to animations, and Tristan did a very similar one where a character is throwing a baseball, and I can show you that a little bit later on if you want. That's one of the tutorials that he did. So here we have a character throwing leaves. Okay, the motion looks like this. Huzzah. Okay, I'm going to throw a basketball in there. Props. Let's go to basketball. Now this one uses some physics, because the basketball has physics. So what we need to do with the basketball selected, let's just hold on, let's double click it, because I think okay, the root goes down here. We don't want the basketball to be going through the ground plane. Whenever you have physics and you want something to bounce off the ground, your first step is to go up to create and physics and infinite plane. And it basically makes your entire ground plane physics enabled. So we'll work with that. And then our character over here is picking up a basketball. So we need to position a basketball right in between her hands. And again, we can use that same process with the remove object animation after we position it properly. Okay, coolio. And then we need to adjust her hand position. So this one, we're going to use the edit motion layer tool. We can just mirror it probably. The hands, rotate both the hands, go inwards a little bit. And then I think one hand is a little bit further out than the other one. Again, I'm not going to worry too much about exact positioning here. But looks, it's this one here. All right, I'm going to work with that. All right, that looks decent enough. So what we have here, the difference between this scenario and Tristan's scenario is his is only using one hand. This is using both hands. And we're going to use a little trick here for this. We're going to have our character, we're going to link the basketball to one of the hands. Okay, so with the basketball selected, when she's picking it up, we just go ahead and link to whatever hand, doesn't matter. I think it linked to the right hand there. Yeah, base right hand. Okay, we're good. So now we have the character picking it up. But as you can see, the other hand is going through the ball, which we don't want. Okay, so again, the quick solution for this is a reach target. So we can use the same technique we just showed a little bit earlier with the character selected. Oops. Go to animation, reach target, right hand, select target, and keep current pose again, and shoot the old basketball. So that's all we need to do for that. And then the character picks up the basketball and throws it. However, oops. Oh, yes, our basketball needs to be assigned the correct physics state at first. Okay, so let's go make sure our physics state for our basketball here is set to kinematic. Okay, so kinematic means it cannot be moved unless it's by external force. And then I'm going to change this to the positioning back to 0. That's kind of annoying. Oh gosh. Right here. Oh man, there's a transform key there. Let's delete this physics thing here. Okay, that physics thing was getting in our way. Oh man, okay. And then I think there's a little bug here. Let me just check the linking on this basketball. Tell you what, I'm going to delete this basketball and bring in another one. So I think things got messed up there. Okay. So we're going to take a new basketball and bring it in here. Apologies for that. I think there was a little bugger thing going on there. Let's make sure that it's positioned properly. Move it right over there. Good enough. So as long as it's not on the infinite plane, that should be okay. Okay. And we need to, of course, make sure that it is a kinematic prop at the very beginning. And do the same thing right here. Link it to the end. And then character selected, reach target. Left hand and the basketball. Okay, cool. So now we have this, lifting it up. Okay, and then at the point where she kind of jumps up like this, about to release the ball, we can at the same time we can again, we maybe need to reposition the hands there a bit slightly, but right here, I want to unlink the basketball. So again, you can see under constraint, this is our link right here. Here we want to unlink it. So go to unlink, And then we also want to change at the same frame our basketball to dynamic physics. And now we should have our character throwing up the basketball, picking it up, and okay, boom. Oh, and I didn't take off the reach target, so her left arm is that's kind of funny, actually. The left arm is going along with the basketball rotation. You see the basketball still rotating. But of course, you would want to, at that point, release the reach target for the character as well. So you do that by going into selecting that and selecting release. Okay. And then we'd have this. And that will be the end of the live demo. So if you guys have any questions, put those questions in the Q&A, and I'll answer those right now. Cool. All right, cool, good stuff. Sorry about the going over time there, guys, and a little bit of iffiness on the motion correction for the footsteps, but we kind of got it figured out. I'm going to answer some questions now. So we're going to go to the Q&A. It looks like we already have a number of questions here in the Q&A. And cool. All right. First questions from Derek. Asks, how do I toggle auto key in iClone 8? Auto key, I mean, let's see. If you make an edit in your edit motion layer tool, it will automatically add a key. So right here, it depends on if you have body part mode selected, or if you have the full body mode selected. If you have body part mode selected, let's just, for example, let's bring in another character to experiment with here. Where's our motion dummy? Let's bring in the male character here. So if we have this guy, we go to like frame whatever, frame 80, and we use an edit motion layer tool here. And we have only body part mode selected here, and we move up our left arm, for example. And I go into my timeline under motion. You can see that under motion layer, we have it created a full body key. And that's because we have IK on, IK mode on right now. If I, for example, go to like FK mode, for example, and I just choose something like my hip, and I move my hip, it creates a full key again. I think that's just if you set key. Generally, it will automatically set keys for everything. I haven't even tried this in a while, but maybe if we try it with a foot base or something. Yeah, it'll just automatically create keys for everything, even though it has body part mode selected. That's only if you set key. Okay, so if you set a key, it'll just create the keyframe for that body part. Okay, so that's how you can do it. Now, in terms of turning that off, I don't know if you can turn it off because it'll automatically set a key regardless. But that's kind of my run through of the keys for the edit motion layer tool. Again, there's the IK and FK blend here as well. If we let's make sure we have what we have here selected. I'm not sure why oh, there we go. My chest bones are disabled for some reason. Oh, there we go, full body. Anyways, I'll get back to you on that. I don't exactly know how to fix how to disable auto key. So apologies for that, Derek. I didn't answer your question there, but maybe someone else knows in the chat if you can maybe answer that. But I don't know if there's a way to deselect auto key on. Yeah, it is kind of a disadvantage for people wanting more control over keyframes. And I think that's a feature that we probably should have in the future. I don't know that you can turn off auto key. Maybe if someone else knows, they can put that in the chat or something like that. But for myself, I've never felt the need to turn off auto key, so apologies for that. I'm kind of bumbling through that question. So next question from Anonymous. I can't see the animation bar because there's a big rectangular box covering it, which is showing what looks like pictures. Anonymous, I think maybe your Zoom panel was in the way of the in the way of the timeline. A bit late for this now, but you can click and drag your Zoom panel around. Unfortunately, in your case, it looks like it was covering up the timeline, which a lot of the work was done in. So apologies for getting to that a little bit late, but I was going through the demo there. Question from Len. It's not related to the topic, but you mentioned face tools at the start. Will there be a future webinar on that plugin? Absolutely. I think, face tools, we are really working hard to develop our pipeline with ZBrush because we found that it's very popular. We have a lot of ZBrush users, coming to use our software now because of our compatibility with ZBrush. Again, face tools is just another step in the right direction for people who do modeling and sculpting in ZBrush, back and forth to character creator. It's super fast, super easy now, very bug-free, very efficient workflow. So we will have a webinar on that. I don't think that I'll be doing the face tools webinar because I'm pretty crap at ZBrush to be frank. But we'll probably have a guest professional on ZBrush for that webinar. So yeah, we definitely will have one in the future, probably before the end of this year, Len. So hopefully it answers that question for you there. Antonio asks, why can't we put in our own animations into Motion Director? This is a very good question that I get asked all the time. Everybody wants to be able to put their own custom animations in Motion Director. And I can tell you that this feature is coming. I can't give you an exact timeline on that. It won't be I think it'll be in the next update. But yeah, Motion Director is a popular new tool with everyone here. We have some tutorials and webinars if you want to learn more about Motion Director. It's a really cool tool, especially for those who aren't, too keen on doing the detailed animation. They just want to have like a marketing video, people walking around a street or something like that. Motion Director is a lifesaver for people like that, especially for creating crowds of people, random crowds of people walking around, like using actor core characters. Motion Director is ideal. And we will have a feature, we will have the ability to add your own custom animations into your Motion Director profiles later on. So I'm thinking next version is what they're saying. But thanks for that question. Good question. Question from Pete is next up here. Can you explain the object contains spring effects warning and show how to disable them? Although it seemed that you ignored the warning. Yeah. So if you have a character that has spring effects, often you'll see female characters with spring effects for the breasts. That allows, they have bones that are assigned to spring bones, which allow for a little bit of bounciness. That's one kind of reason for spring bones, and that'll pop up all the time when you have the notifications on here. You can see this object contains spring effects. You can disable the effect by adding an off key in the spring track before using the edit motion layer tool. So you can find all your spring stuff if you go under modify. Where are we here? In the attributes rather, sorry. At the very bottom, you can see here spring. You can turn it off or on. Okay, so if you turn it off, it won't pop up with that notification anymore. Just make sure you turn it off at the beginning, and you shouldn't have that notification whenever you apply these things. I know it's kind of annoying. It always pops up here, and I always just kind of ignore those messages anyways. But this one has kind of a spring on the rib twist. I think this will be a little bit of chest movement as well. But generally it's for the female characters. The female character, I think this one might not. No, this is just a basic character. It doesn't really have bouncing breasts. So some female characters will have spring bones assigned to the breast though. Hopefully that answers that question for you there, Pete. Question from Rosemary. I can't see the animation player. I think, again, this is kind of maybe people had their Zoom panel in front of the animation player, which is the timeline at the bottom. So apologies for that. I'm not able to show my Zoom panel for everyone here. So apologies for those of you who missed it. Okay, another question from Rosemary. I cannot see the motion layer keys. What's the big picture at the bottom of the screen covering everything up? I'm not sure. That might have been my face, or I'm not sure if there was no pictures that were showing on my screen. So hopefully Rosemary, you can watch this again on YouTube and you can catch what I was doing before. So apologies for that. I think your Zoom panel or the Zoom window showing my face was probably in the way there. But okay. Another question from Gautam. This question, just a quick question. Can we change the route inside iClone, or does it need to be done using a 3D software? That's a good question, Gautam. You have to do it with a 3D software at this point. You can do it with Character Creator. Okay, so it doesn't need to be done in Blender or whatever else. You can actually change the character's route in Character Creator. When it comes to the stuff I was showing earlier, like changing the route to conform to the previous clip or something like that, like I was going to right click on the character, rather right clicking on the animation, just apply an animation to the character first. I don't think it matters what animation we have. Let's just do a run. Okay, not sure why that pops up as talking animation. Oh, that's just a pose. Dang it. Whatever, doesn't matter. So you have an animation in your timeline, and you can see it right up here. Right click. So I showed you earlier route. So you can sample the hip to the root, and this is XYZ along the XYZ axis. There's also an option to sample it only to the XY axis. And this is often used for animations that are vertical, like your character's climbing up something or whatever, or jumping up and down. You can also sample the root to the hip. Let's see what this animation is here. Yeah, so this is a root motion where goes with the character. So this is generally, in this day and age, this is the kind of animation you want, because this is the one where, if you take this into Unreal or Unity or a game engine, the root goes with the character. And this is generally always the way you want it if you're importing your motions for use in a game. All right. Yeah, but you can do it in Character Creator. It's just not in iClone. Yeah, Rosemary, you're talking about changing the angle of the stairs. Gosh, I probably should have pre-prepared those stairs, but I kind of like, the cocky part of me was like, I want to just like wing it and see if there's a new challenge that pops up. But unfortunately, sometimes certain challenges take longer to overcome than others. But it's always, I know it's not fun for you guys, but it's always kind of fun for me, just kind of trying to take on new challenges in terms of editing things together. But yeah, that was kind of a bonehead move by me. Question from Peter: how do you use the body profile dialog in the motion puppet tool? What is it for? Body profile dialog. So we go to motion puppet. Let me just move this out of the way here. Body profile. Oh yeah, so base motion here. Gosh, I haven't used this in ages, to be honest. They used to have one for like specific types of characters, like female and male characters. Did I just freeze it? Nope. Okay, so yeah, there's puppet profiles, and again, these are kind of an old thing. Like this tool isn't really used much that more, because it's just a very quick and dirty tool to create loopable motions, in my opinion, to be honest. But There used to be more body profiles here, and I think that that's kind of been discontinued. There used to be like a female one and a male one, different profiles for different characters. I'm not sure why it's not on there. This is like literally the first time I've clicked on this drop down here in probably 2 years, but it used to have one specific for different characters. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it, Peter. It's kind of a moot feature right now. Another question from Gautam here. Can you export the reach targets to render engines like Unreal? Yes, you can. Now, your reach targets, as far as I know, your reach targets aren't going to transfer over to Unreal as reach targets. You have to bake those reach targets first. When you export the motion in FBX, it's going to bake those reach targets. So I mean, like, for example, it's not going to transfer over as you know, Unreal's version of reach targets, but it'll bake them first. So you'd have to kind of redo the links and do the reaching in Unreal with your bone hierarchy and your Unreal Engine character. So apologies for that. Okay, Rosemary asks a good question here. What's the difference between reach target and attach? I think a better question would be, what's the difference between attach and link? So I did show you link when the female character was lifting up the basketball there. The difference between link and attach is you can't keyframe it. Once you attach your an object to your hand or whatever, then you can't detach it. Like, it's not keyframeable. You can't attach it at frame 1 and detach it at frame 10. That's for kind of situations where you don't have to worry about things becoming dislodged or unlinked. Okay, so if you have like 2 props that are always going to be together, just attach them. Okay, you don't need to worry about linkage and all that stuff. Okay, that's ignore my question, it's been answered. Okay, well, hopefully I answered that question during the demo there. I didn't look ahead here. Anonymous attendee asks, is there a rule of thumb for when using attach versus link? Okay, I think I just answered that. Good. So my diatribe there on link and attach actually helped someone anyways. Derek asks, what about doing general movements? Like, I wasn't using a motion layer and just moving the body parts. Is there a way to automate it manually without auto keying? Again, Derek, I can't think of a way to. Again, I've never turned off auto key, so I don't know that if there's a way to do it, maybe in the preferences or something in the project settings. I don't think there is, but we can check to make sure. In the timeline it'll be probably. No, I don't think that there is. Maybe someone answered that, but maybe the project settings, you can always check these ones. Oops, that was already showing over here. I don't think so. It's just for physics and stuff like that. So, all right. Sorry about that, Derek. Marcus from Brazil. Hey, Marcus, how's it going? Big question here. This is a long thing here. I'm just going to try and recap it for everyone. You bought the motion pack for lovers. There's a hold hands one, transform position, yada yada. Okay, so Marcus, this is a kind of a very specific motion question here. It's about 2 paragraphs, so I'm just trying to summarize it for everyone. When you have a motion with 2 characters, like the dancing scenario I showed before, and there's mesh penetration between the 2 characters. Like I said, with edit motion layer, the edit motion layer tool, two things I always recommend people follow, just because when you put too many motion layer keys, things can get confusing and there can be conflicts between certain motion layers, and sometimes you lose track over like which keyframe is on which layer and stuff. So if there's a specific motion that is very important to you, that has to be very specifically like detailed in terms of contact and mesh penetration and stuff like that, what I recommend doing is kind of what I talked about earlier, is flattening your clip. But again, before you flatten it, save your project, because once you flatten it, you can't go back, right? So what I do often is when I'm working on a motion that's very detailed, I'll save my project, and then I'll save it as like, edit 01, for example, and then I'll flatten the clip, and then with that flattened clip, I'll do a second layer of motion key edits, and then I'll save it as like, edit 02. So basically I'm creating a history of projects for myself. And if I get like really frustrated and I want to go back to like this step, then I'll do that. That doesn't happen too often anymore, because the tools are better now, and I don't often need super specific detailed to avoid mesh penetration type stuff. But that's the workflow that I follow. Just for everyone, it's a really good workflow to follow. Do your keyframe edits, save the project, bake it, or flatten it, and then repeat that over again. Another thing you can do is, and I know Tristan does this a lot in his tutorials, is break the clip up into specific parts. So when you break a clip up into specific parts, like say, for example, I broke this clip I have right now up into 3 parts, then it's going to be 3 separate entities, basically. Okay, so when you break them up into separate parts, they're 3 separate entities, and you can do your own keyframe edits on each one individually. You can adjust the roots individually. So it often, a good technique to remember is that you can also break clips and adjust them that way. I didn't do any really solid breaking clip scenarios in this webinar, but that's another one to follow. And again, I recommend checking out Tristan's tutorials in the Learning Center there, or Revision Courses page, rather. Hopefully that answers a bit of your question there, Marcus. Another question from Derek. So Derek, maybe you can email me. My email is kai@reallusion.com. That's just kai@reallusion.com. I think you might still be talking about the auto key thing. And when I'm not doing a live webinar, I'll probably take a more detailed look through the settings and see if I can fix that. But yeah, at this point, just send me an email as a reminder, and I'll take a look later for you there. A question from Eric, 2 Erics. Is there a hotkey for remove object animation? Oh, good question. I don't think so. The hotkeys can be found, by the way, up in help. You can go to shortcuts table link up here. I don't think there's one for remove object animation. You can just search it maybe. So I've been using this program for quite a long time. Oops. No, I can't search there. That would be under. Yeah, I don't know. If it is, it'll be in here. So check out these hotkeys. So apologies for that. I don't want to kind of go through that live on the air here, because I know you guys got better things to do. But yeah, if there is, it'll be there. Thanks. Good question, though. I couldn't tell you. I always just right click on things and remove object animation. So Mark asks, will there be an equivalent of face tools with Blender? We have the Blender Auto setup, which works really well. I do a lot of work in Blender myself, so I use the Blender Auto setup tool all the time for bringing in characters for renders and stuff like that. The good thing about Blender Auto setup is pop the character in, import it into Blender, boom, it's right there, all fully rigged. All the materials are perfectly set up, and you literally don't have to do anything. Just boom, bring in the character, and it's just like that. So Blender Auto setup, really good, but unfortunately we don't have the specific facial tools. I know some people use Blender for the facial modeling as well, but we don't have that tool to the extent that Face Tools goes with Character Creator and ZBrush rather. So apologies for that, Mark. I think that I'm a huge Blender advocate, so I really love that myself. although I don't really do much facial modeling or modeling in general. But I think that would be really good for our Blender users. And yeah, we'll keep that in mind. I think that we'll be working on that in the near future. Right now, it's focused on ZBrush, though. Right. Next question from Drippy Mickey. If possible, can we go over Mixamo animations with a Reallusion content pack? Yeah, you can easily import Mixamo animations into Reallusion. It's like literally like a one-click import. All you have to do, literally, you can actually just click and drag your Mixamo FBX animation directly onto iClone. So like if I had like a Mixamo animation, I don't have one prepared right now, but if I did, I can just click it like literally from Explorer. I can click and drag it onto my character, and it would come up with a prompt that would say, what's the preset for this character? Actually, probably automatically. I think it automatically detects that it's Mixamo rig. You're trying to apply that Mixamo motion onto your iClone character, and it automatically rigs it for you, retargets the animation rather to your iClone rig. Literally just click and drag it like the FBX from Explorer. Okay, question from David. How's it going, David? Can you please add some of the great tools like animation layers and audio editing to Cartoon Animator like you have in iClone? Yeah, I tell people this all the time. Basically anything that's in iClone, eventually will probably 90% be added into Cartoon Animator. For example, we've had path animation in iClone since like, I don't know, iClone 3, like even before I started at Reallusion, like a decade ago. We had like path animation, and Cartoon Animator just got path animation in the latest update, which is 5.2 a couple months ago. Yeah, I get asked that all the time. It's just a matter of kind of patience, I guess, for the Cartoon Animator team because there's also features in Cartoon Animator that iClone doesn't have, which are really cool. Okay, we'll go to the next question anyways from Derek here. I know everyone wants to. We have a full night of NHL. Like I think every team in the NHL at hockey is playing tonight. They're all 32 teams are playing. So if you're a hockey fan, thanks for being with me here. Probably want to get to the hockey game. Anyways, question from Derek. Another one. An update should be developed into iClone for toggling auto key. Okay. Yeah. Again, Derek, I think the auto key stuff. Just email me separately for that one. Good question from Daniel Husbands. Can you explain aligning the whole clip versus just aligning? Yes, I'm not sure if I did that well enough in the backflip option or the backflip animation sequence there. When you align the whole clip, let me just see if I can find a couple of motions to throw in there for this scenario here. When you align the whole clip, like let's just do an idle. I'm just going to throw this in here. Whatever, idle 01. Okay, and then we'll try a run or maybe a walk. Okay, let's do this after. There's our idle. Man, that is a long idle. Let's cut that a little bit. That idle's like almost 2,000 frames long. Okay, we'll just do the walking after this. Okay, now these, I think they're supposed to blend together. So, but what you'll see here is, oh, okay, so the root stays in the same position, of course. So this is a stationary position. This is, again, the kind of thing you'll want with going into a game engine. Let's try and find the one where the root actually changes. Maybe this one. Nope. I think one of those run animations where they let's try this. This one maybe will work. All right, yeah, so this one the character goes forward. All right, so we just blend these two together. Super easy blend. Okay, now if I wanted to, for example, align this one, so she takes off from the right foot, the left foot is the one planted. So you'd want to say, for example, you can just align this to the left foot, okay? So it'll take off from the left foot. So you want to align it to the left foot, line left foot, like there. It's just a slight difference, okay? A little bit less sliding, okay? So we have that. All right, now if I aligned the whole clip to the left foot, what we would get is this. It would stay stationary. Okay, see, it's almost like he's rowing a boat with his right foot. Okay. So that's the whole clip basically stuck on the left foot. And that's not what you want, obviously, in this situation. So just be aware of that, the difference. It's a very big difference. That's just a really kind of, maybe not the ideal scenario, but that's the difference between the two. Hopefully that helped you out there, Daniel. Good question. Question from Bill. Is it okay to upload iClone animations to YouTube using only the standard license? Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, you can upload anything you want created using iClone. There's a few major restrictions that we ask that you keep in mind. One of them is don't resell iClone content on other marketplaces. So don't take an iClone rig, gussy it up a little bit, then try and sell it in Unreal Marketplace. Okay, that's illegal. We don't like that stuff happening. Don't repurpose Relusion content and sell it in other marketplaces like Turbo Squid or whatever. That's illegal. But basically, and don't resell characters in your don't resell characters as DLC or something in your video game. So don't take a Relusion character and resell it in your video game as DLC. That's also illegal. But in terms of producing videos, producing anything, totally fine. You don't need to worry about royalties and stuff for that. And you can always email me separately for more details on that as well. Mark asks a good question: is Mokopi integration in the works? Last thing I heard, Mark, they're not onto that yet. There's a couple other things that are in priority over top of that, but yeah, I do think Mokopi is something that we're looking at in the future. I haven't heard the latest update on that, so apologies for that, Mark. Can't give you much more of an answer than that. Aaron asks, how do you add and enable dynamic physics, please? So physics, it's important to know if your physics is enabled or not. Okay, so let's just take this dude out of the way here because we're focusing on the physics. And we have the female. So whenever you have physics enabled and you play back, it's going to record a physics clip. So watch this basketball here. You can see it actually created a bunch of physics clips. Every time you play back, it's going to create a physics clip. Okay. And I think it has a number of physics clips because I stopped and started in the middle of whatever. Okay, so if I stop there, it creates one entire physics clip. So that's when you have physics, like rigid body physics simulation on. Now, there is nope, it's not up here right now. But normally before there was a toolbar that showed physics. Yeah, physics right here. Okay, so if you go up to toolbar and physics, you can see that right now, rigid body simulation is active. So it's green, it's active, and soft body physics, soft cloth simulation is also active. If you turn those off, say for example, I'm totally satisfied with this physics result. Then subsequently, after I recorded that physics clip, I want to turn this off because I don't want to re-simulate the physics of that basketball. So if I turn this off and I turn soft cloth physics off, it's not going to recreate that no matter how many times I play back. So if I stopped in the middle, for example, normally it would create a physics clip stopping there. But now because we have physics simulation off, rigid body simulation off, it's not going to create a new clip. So just be aware of that. Very important step there. Very important setting. Good question, Aaron. So Aaron asks, can you bake iClone physics to keyframe? So what you can do, so once you've baked or once you've simulated that physics, that's another good question, Aaron, about physics simulation. So once you've recorded or baked that physics result, you can keyframe it. Just right click on the clip and go to sample animation clip. And you can go to sample right here. It'll create a number of keyframes for you. You can also right click and go to sample, sample all parts right there. And I think that, where does it, I forget where it puts the keyframes. But yeah, it does, shouldn't it, I forget where it puts those. But you should be able to sample it. Not sure, maybe it's a little bug that I'm going through right now, but if you sample it, it should create a bunch of keyframes for you. I'm not sure why that's not happening. Maybe it's shouldn't matter if that's enabled or not, but yeah, I haven't done that in a while. I don't normally use physics and iClone, so, but I believe, oh yeah, there we go. The under the animation layer tab. I just had to twirl down animation. Okay, so there's all the keyframes right there. And again, that's probably a lot of keyframes. Let's just try and undo that a couple times. Yeah, so right click. I know sample animation, sample, that'll create less keyframes. Okay. And if you right click and sample animation clip and sample all parts, it creates a lot more detailed keyframes. So just be aware of that. Hopefully that's as clear as mud. Sorry, Aaron, I haven't used physics in a while in terms of like throwing basketballs around in iClone and stuff. Haven't really had the need for it. But next question, we'll go to the next question here from Peter. Anyways, we've got a few more questions left. In many 3D programs, it's been a feature to allow spotlights to support gobo, like a shadow with a pattern. Okay, why doesn't iClone do that? Any rumors of adding it or not? I'm not sure what a gobo is, Peter. Maybe someone can fill me in on that. Maybe it's talking about global illumination. But maybe you can kind of elaborate a bit on that, Peter. I have not heard the term gobo before, or so maybe it's a typo, or maybe I'm just stupid. That's probably the case. Like a shadow with a pattern. Yeah, I'm not sure. Apologies for that, Peter. I'll have to maybe just email me later with more details on that. Okay, so that's the same question again from Daniel about aligning the whole clip and just aligning. So Rashad asks, what if you start making money off your YouTube animation? What are the guidelines for that? No problem. As long as you're not reselling our stuff, as long as you're not reselling Real content, we don't normally worry too much about that kind of stuff. So yeah, just make content to your heart's delight, publish it on YouTube and stuff. Just no reselling of the content that our developers have created or that our team has created over at Real. But we encourage people, and we definitely do appreciate it if you reach out to us and we can use your productions for marketing purposes. Like we can feature your movie or your short film or whatever. We can feature that on our website. We do appreciate you giving us credit for that. We do obviously ask that you give credit to Real, the software that you're using in the production somewhere as well. Okay, question from Chad. Is it possible to import Blender animations into iClone? For example, if I create a wall being destroyed in Blender using an add-on, how do I get that animation from Blender to iClone? Exporting as an FBX doesn't work. Chad, you may want to use Alembic format. I know you can import Alembic animations into iClone. Now, this specific pipeline that you're talking about from Blender to iClone, I haven't done that using Alembic files, but I have done I have exported physics and other script animations, for example, like the gun thing or a wall crumbling down that's scripted. I have exported that via Alembic format to Blender, but I haven't, for example, used a Blender plugin to create a crumbling wall and import that into iClone. But I can tell you that iClone does support Alembic format, so that would be one way of trying it out. Now, I can't guarantee you that'll work, but I know it works the other way. So apologies for that, Chad. Can't give you a really solid answer on that. Okay, so Aaron was talking here about hitting a little triangle. Oh, I think you're talking about the animation layer. Yeah. I finally figured that out. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed sometimes. I need some more coffee here. It's all cold. That wasn't really transform animation in your example. Yeah, so these animation layer keys, these, I haven't messed around with these like I mentioned as well, but these, if you click on them, it's basically it's the equivalent of the edit motion layer tool for props. Okay, so you have to use this tool. If you just double click on them, you move the position like this. Okay, just be aware of that. And you also have to refresh the physics if you want to resimulate the physics, because notice that the physics bounding box doesn't go along with the because we don't have the rigid physics enabled. So yeah, these keyframes, basically you're using the edit animation layer tool for the prop version, not the character version. So hopefully that answers your question there, Aaron. And people often get confused when it comes to characters, especially about the difference between transform movements and root movements. You can move a character in two ways. I'm going to end off with this, I think. Oh, Len mentions here, Gobo is a texture projected from a light source, like a shadow cast by leaves on a tree. Okay, cool. Very, very, very good to know. Projected from a light source. Huh. Okay, I'll have to learn more about that. Thanks, Len, for filling me in on that. I haven't messed around with that too much. But to finish off here, guys, I want to kind of show you a quick difference between transform and root and position changes. Do I have a character on the screen still? I think I do. Yep. All right. So when you, for example, if your character is jumping, let's just apply a quick jump animation to our character. Oh, crap. We removed everything. I'll show you the difference quickly, and then we'll end off here. So you can, you don't need to stick around. You can watch this later on YouTube if you want, but okay, here's a good one. This is going to be a parkour jump. Boink. Okay, so there he starts jumping, like the sound effect. Boink. So here, if we press W again, notice that the root is going like this. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can change the distance of this jump. You can start off right here and just double click on the transform track, create a keyframe. Okay, and if you want to jump like an extreme jump where he lands, boom, right there, you can maybe have him go like way over here. All right, so then his jump is going to be like, oh, and obviously, you'd want to adjust the timing of that jump, but he jumps further like that. Okay, you'd want to stretch this out. You'd want to break the clip here and extend the length of this distance between here just to slow it down, just so he doesn't zoom between 2 points. Another way to do that is if you take away those transform keyframes in the edit motion layer tool, use the hip, okay, the hip position. So if I just for example, move the hip a little bit like that, it'll create my hip keyframe. And then here where he lands, I can move that hip way down here. Oh, and you need to turn off those, the kinematics. What am I doing here? Oh, we need to go to FK mode here rather. There we go. And way down there. So notice the root stays with it, okay, but he goes further. Now, this is the situation that you want to use if you want to save this clip. So if I wanted to say flatten this clip now and save it, I would right click and then just flatten the clip, flatten all layers, and then you just right click and then you just save it as something, or you just whatever, save motion clip, or you can save part of it by collecting the clip. But now that's saved into that entire motion clip. When you use the transform keyframes, you can't save that route change as part of the clip. It won't save. Like it'll just save it back as a normal distance jump. Okay, so that's the main difference between using transform to change your character's position and changing the character's position using the root, the base hit or the bone root in the edit motion layer tool. All right, cool. Yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, okay, so one final question from Dennis here. What's happening with enabling USD import and export in iClone and CC? We have full USD import and export, as far as I know, Dennis. People using Omniverse are using USD all the time. There's even I think you're talking about USD right here. So this is USD export. Let me just close down right here. So I can export to USD right here. I can export that animation. Oh, and I need the connector installed. I don't have that installed on this version of iClone right now. But yeah, that's how you can export USD right there. You can also go file export USD right here. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, thanks again, everyone, for attending. Thanks for your patience. I know I went over time, but hopefully you guys learned at least something that'll be of use to you later on in your own projects. And again, you can always email me, kai@reallusion.com, and ask me for solutions for specific situations. I'm more than happy to troubleshoot when I'm not doing a live demo in front of a bunch of people, troubleshoot on my own time. In fact, that's kind of my workflow. I often do a little bit of trial and error, a lot of trial and error, I guess you can say, to find solutions to different challenges that present in different scenarios with iClone. But thanks so much, everyone, for being here today. And we'll just remind you guys to fill the survey, get the 10% discount at the content store. And yeah, this will be on YouTube. You can review it on your own time. And yeah, we're good to go. So thanks, everyone, so much for being here again. And love to have you along. Be sure to check out the future webinars. I know we have a couple coming up in November, a 2D one and a 3D one. The 3D one for iClone is going to be at the end of the month. So make sure you check back regularly for that. And I'll say adios to everyone. And thanks for being here again today. I'll see you later.